Hey guys, welcome back to Muslim Minds. Today we're going to be reacting to a Redeem Zoomer knockoff. Every Afterlife theory explained in 10 minutes.
Yeah, what's this
Let's
guy's
see how it
name?
compares.
Paint guy.
Nah, he ain't
Paint
Redeem
guy.
Zoomer.
Microsoft Paint guy.
Let's see what he does.
Simulation theory. This idea proposes that our current reality that we experience as humans is actually a simulated, computerized reality in which humans themselves are constructed. Nick Bostrom is a philosopher that gives credence to this idea, arguing that because many technologists and futurologists predict that enormous amounts of computing power will be available in the future, future generations might use this power and technology to run detailed simulations of their ancestors or of people like their ancestors.
This is essentially saying we're going to be so smart that we can create reality.
This is
Based on what?
I mean, that's just dumb.
It's just pure speculation.
So therefore, we could be a part of that futuristic simulation right now. Of course, this is only possible if future computing power is capable of producing beings with a consciousness, which most people believe is impossible. Rastafarianism. Rastafarianism is an Abrahamic religion that developed in Jamaica during the 1930s, and it is based on a specific interpretation of the Bible. They believe that Jesus was a black African, and that the white Jesus was a false god, and view Christianity as an invention from the white man. Because of this, they treat Christianity with suspicion and view the two faiths as incompatible. Since they can't share the same God with their oppressors,
Abrahamic faiths are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Anything kind of like it's an offshoot, it's just an offshoot.
Rastafarians have an interesting view of death, believing that death is simply a transition from one realm to another, and that the soul continues its journey after physical life, as long as the individual practices righteousness their entire life. Because of this, they do not hold funerals. Neverending Life theory. This theory is pretty straightforward. It is the belief that when humans die, they are reborn again as a new person with no memory of their previous life. It's essentially just a form of reincarnation without religion involved. 22% of secular Europeans and 20% of secular Americans believe in the never-ending life theory. Cosmic theory. This theory claims that our consciousness belongs to the...
That is just dumb. Immortality? That's not immortality if you just get reborn anyways.
It's just...
That doesn't... What, you're just gonna respawn? No.
It's not even respawning. You just spawn as like a Chinese village.
New character creation.
Years ago, yeah.
The universe, not to our individual bodies or God, and that when we die, our consciousness returns to the cosmos. Many people also believe the end of the world and the entire universe will take place anywhere from 1 to 100 trillion years from now, because eventually the supply of gas needed for star formation will be exhausted. As existing stars run out of fuel and cease to shine, the universe will slowly and inexorably grow darker. This is called the Big Freeze, or the heat death. Buddhist theory. Buddhists believe in the version of reincarnation that is much more complicated than never-ending life theory. The Rebirth doctrine asserts that rebirth takes place in one of the 6 realms of samsara: the realm of gods, demigods, humans, the animal realm, the ghost realm, and the hell realms. Rebirth, as stated by various Buddhist traditions, is determined by karma, with good and bad realms favored by good, bad, skillful, or unskillful karma, while nirvana is the ultimate goal of Buddhist teaching, which basically means breaking free from all worldly desire and only living for spiritual gain. Much of traditionalist Buddhist practice has been centered on gaining merit and merit transfer, as an individual gains rebirth in the good realms and avoids rebirth in the evil realms. Parallel universe theory.
They don't provide a framework in how that happens. Like, sometimes there's not even like a direct God figure with control over everything. It's just like the natural
like
flow
this is
of
just
life.
how it is.
Yeah, like if you're a good person, you become a, something. And if you're bad, you become a snail. I don't know. Like, but they never really talk about God being the influencer or determining factor of that.
Theory. This theory, also known as the many worlds theory, has been explained in countless sci-fi movies and comic books, but some believe there might be truth in it. This theory claims that when we die, we will be living in the same universe as we were before, just in a different portion of space and time. According to the many worlds theory, for each possible outcome to an action, the world splits into a copy of itself. This is an instantaneous process that a doctoral student of Princeton University called decohesion. Writer Josh Clark compares this idea to a choose-your-own-adventure book, but instead of being given a choice of which page you end up on, the universe splits in two, so that each action is taken. Dream theory. This theory is very strange, and more of a fun thought rather than something based on scientific evidence. Dream theory suggests that we are currently inside of our own dream, and that when we truly wake up from this reality, we begin a new one. Many people speculate this is the case due to our ability to feel all of our senses within our dreams, such as taste, smell, and even touch. Even the famous deaf and blind author Helen Keller reports in her memoirs that
Islamic paradigm.
Yeah.
That the ruh is taken, your body
Your
is
soul is
maintained in
taken.
a way where it doesn't decompose, but it's still operational. But
Yeah.
it's
I don't really know what scientists say dreams are. I know there's
they're
some
still
research
working
on
it out. Actually, they did right now. The running theory is just a production of your consciousness in a deep sleep state.
Yeah.
But even then, like
some dreams are like
they don't understand how they're so
almost
vivid.
real. Like,
yeah. No, I mean like if you sit here right now,
it has an effect on you.
like you imagine yourself eating an orange, it will not be like a dream of you eating an orange. It is, like you said, feels real.
Like an alternate reality.
So have you ever had those dreams you wake up and you're like, oh, that was a dream? Like you didn't even realize at all it was fake.
Yeah, or you wake up and the emotions felt real.
Oh yeah.
Like you feel
like the nightmares and the
Yeah. I don't know about nightmares. What are you doing?
She could see and hear in her dreams, feelings that she could not ever remember experiencing while awake. So, could life just be a giant, realistic feeling dream? Perhaps I should make an entire separate video about dreams. Subscribe and comment down below if you would want that. Aztec Theory. The Aztecs had a very interesting and complicated theory surrounding the afterlife, as it separates it into three paths. The sun, Mictlan, or Tlalocan, and the way that you die determines which afterlife you end up in. Fallen soldiers or women who died giving birth became hummingbirds that followed the sun. People who died from natural causes would go to Mictlan, which is basically the Aztec version of Satan. Here,
why would you follow the sun? You'll burn.
If you die in a war as a man or you give birth and you die giving birth, you go to heaven. If you die and normally go to hell.
Wait, really?
That's what they just said.
I did not catch that at all.
Fallen soldiers or women who died giving birth became hummingbirds that followed the sun. People who died from natural causes would go to Mictlan, which is basically the Aztec.
Oh my god!
It's a death cult.
Yeah, no. You're 100% correct.
You just want to die.
You don't have no. Yes, they sacrifice so many thousands of people, like candy, children as well. Yeah, it's definitely.
You can't even die a regular death.
They tell you that so they can justify sacrificing you to their sun god.
Aztec version of Satan. Here, dead people would begin their journey through the 9 stages of hell to overcome a variety of obstacles in order to reach the liberation of their soul. And finally, anyone who died drowning in water or from disease went to Tlalocan, who ruled the Aztec version of heaven. Nothingness and uncertain theory. Nothingness theory, otherwise known as eternal oblivion, is the idea that when you die, you lose consciousness. Nothing happens and you are surrounded in darkness. This theory is mostly accepted by atheists, and it presents either a horrifying or comforting conclusion depending on your perspective. A study by the Pew Research Center shows that 17% of Americans do not believe in any afterlife.
This might be a very hot take for those who are atheists and haven't really understood some theologies or kind of have written off all theology as fairy tale. But what I will say is the reason we disagree with this interpretation of the afterlife is because we don't disagree with that interpretation of the afterlife because we think it's nonsensical or irrational. It's because we have religious tradition that after our research and billions of people's research has been proven to be true to them based off whatever evidence. And again, you might think what evidence. But Islam, for example, Prophet Muhammad of Islam has made many predictions that have come true, predictions that he couldn't have made at his time. For example, talking about how his Islamic nation will be in all these different nations, and he lists them name by name, and that they're going to conquer this land at this time, and that there'll come a time when they'll be so large in number, but they'll be broken apart, disunited, and eaten upon the nations of the world like a food of play right now, which is the current state of the Muslim world. He talked about, or even in the Quran, the revelation given to the Muslims that every living being is made of water. This is something that he wouldn't have known such a long time ago. Again, and you might just hear these one after another, be like, okay, so what? But the reason is a composite of many things that he, as an illiterate Arab Bedouin, could not have known, right? And some of these other kind of metaphysical things about heaven and hell, like these are things that we can't interact with in our life right now. But it's kind of like if you tried to describe bacteria to someone a couple hundred years ago, they would think you're a madman, crazy. Like, what are you talking about? What's bacteria? You can't see it, you can't test it at that time, right? you can't interact with in any way. But if someone came in the future and told them, hey, there's bacteria, they'll think you're nuts and mad. Hey, if this little bacteria gets into you, it's going to cause this adverse reaction. You're going to have this virus. You're going to die this kind of way. That's how we would try to explain it to someone who doesn't really understand the theology. That's kind of how the afterlife is, heaven, hell. Even
so
how
uncertain theory.
Yeah, even how you exist now. So yeah.
Similar idea to this is known simply as the uncertain theory, which doesn't necessarily believe that when we die, it's just an empty state of nothingness, but rather we don't know what happens, and it's impossible to truly know, so there's no point in discussing it in definitive terms. Christian theory. Christianity's view on afterlife is perhaps the most well-known theory, and it is the belief that Christians who live a good and spiritual life honoring Jesus Christ and living as closely to Him as possible, as opposed to living a life of materialism and worldly pride, live the rest of their lives in heaven where they are incapable of committing sin, and glorify God for eternity with everyone else who made it. Conversely, anyone who failed to follow God or rejected Him will live the rest of eternity in hell, where Satan resides. There are no Christians who fully understand what specific actions will get you to heaven or hell, as the understanding is that Jesus was intentionally vague so that true believers would follow His path passionately and genuinely.
That's more of a Protestant take. Protestants believe that your works will not take you to salvation, rather it's just your belief in God alone, so you can't really tie it down to a specific action. Whereas the Catholics believe it is faith and works, and they do specify exactly which works you need to do. So,
rather than just follow a glorified to-do list to achieve the good end result. Christians are also unclear what hell exactly looks like, although Catholics believe that in 1917, Mary, the Mother of God, revealed a vision of hell to 3 children that lived in Portugal, along with a vision of World War II, a tragedy that was yet to inflict the world at the time. Mormon Theory. Many people debate whether or not Mormons are a denomination of Christianity or a heresy, with many critics of Mormonism pointing to their views on afterlife as a perfect example that they are being led astray. Mormon death theory starts off similarly to typical Christian thinking, by saying that evil people go to hell and that good people go to heaven. But their view on heaven is more complicated. Heaven is divided by 3 degrees of glory: the celestial, terrestrial, and telestial kingdoms. The highest degree, and by far the most desirable, is the celestial kingdom, where individuals can dwell in the presence of God. Here, they eternally live with God's presence, continue as families, become gods themselves, create other worlds, have spirit children, and increase in power and glory forever. However, some members of the Mormon Church deny that this is part of their teaching, claiming that these views come from misinterpretations of Mormon sermons, leading to a lot of confusion, speculation, and debate as to what they actually believe. Egyptian Pharaoh Theory. Unlike other afterlife theories that believe the soul leaves the body, the ancient Egyptians believed that when they died, their physical body would continue to exist in an afterlife that was very similar to their living world. However, entry into this afterlife was not guaranteed. The dead had to negotiate a dangerous underworld journey and face the final judgment before they were granted access. Egyptian pharaohs believed their death was not permanent, however, and they would return to the world again for a second life. All the Egyptians' tombs were typically decorated with texts meant to help guide the deceased soul into the afterlife. Many of the deceased's personal belongings were also included in their tombs, which ranged in value depending on their social status. Pharaohs' tombs were provided with the vast quantities of wealth and various goods. Paranormal Theory. Just like the multiverse theory we talked about earlier, paranormal theory is a collection of ideas involving the paranormal world, and it often falls outside the realm of mainstream scientific understanding, typically being the backbone of most horror films. That being said, studies show that about 4 in 10 Americans believe in ghosts, so it's not that uncommon for people to seriously discuss the paranormal theory, which is the idea that after death, our souls remain among living on Earth. This is often associated with ghost sightings or paranormal activity. It is also often believed that communication with these souls is possible through various mediums, such as Ouija boards, various ghost hunting equipment, and even through their dreams. Hindu Theory. The Hindu theory of death and afterlife has a huge variety of interpretations, so it is a little hard to summarize it in one set ideology. However, there are some common themes and concepts that are widely accepted in Hindu thought. Hindu death theory is extremely similar to Buddhism views, as they agree on karma, dharma, moksha, and reincarnation. However, there are some key differences, such as the fact that Hinduism has its own priests, rituals, and it believes in the caste system. Hindu traditions consider the soul to be an unchanging eternal essence of a living being, and that it is what journeys across reincarnations until it attains self-knowledge. Whereas in contrast, Buddhism asserts a rebirth theory without a self. Frozen head theory. Frozen head theory, or the practice of cryogenics on humans, is not a theory that concerns the afterlife, but rather a speculative practice that some believe can avoid death or the afterlife altogether. It is the idea that when we die, we can freeze our body in cryogenic nitrogen chambers, and they will be preserved for the future when advancements in medicines can bring us back to life.
Okay.
Of course, as of January 2022, no one who has ever undergone cryogenics has ever come back to life, and scientific feasibility of successfully reviving a preserved body in the future remains uncertain. However, this hasn't stopped anyone from trying. Reports suggest that around 500 people have been put in cryogenic stasis after legal death, with the majority of them being from the United States. Egg Theory. Egg Theory comes from a popular fictional internet story that was written by Andy Weir and published in 2009. The story is about a main character who is referred to as you, and God, who is me. You are a 48-year-old man who dies in a car crash and meets God, who is the narrator, and he tells you that you have been reincarnated many times before, and that you are next to be reincarnated as a Chinese peasant girl in 540 AD. God then explains that you are constantly being reincarnated across time, and that all human beings who have ever lived and will ever live are incarnations of you. Then, God explains that in fact there are other godlike beings elsewhere, and that you too will one day become a god.
I was like, well, what if you're reincarnated as a...
How is this a theory? He just made it up as a story. Now people think it's real. You must live every human life, so...
I just realized he's not going to touch on Islam.
Yeah, he gave Hinduism...
Cryogenesis, or whatever it's called.
It's not even afterlife theory. Some people
no.
trying to live later on in the world.
There are some differences if you studied it, and it would be interesting to point out. It's the fastest growing religion in the world. You might as well put that on there.
Nah, I might as well just learn about eggs. But what? Egg theory?
Yeah, Goku.
Once you have lived every human life ever. The reason God created the universe was for the main character, you, to understand that every time you victimize someone, you are victimizing yourself, and that
like
every happy or sad feeling that's ever been
it's
experienced will be experienced by you. This theory is based on the old proverb, what goes around comes around, and takes it to a whole new level. Not many people actually believe in it, but it has been a popular story on the internet ever since it was published, so I figured it was worth covering.
You figured it was worth covering? What about Islam, bro? Is that worth covering?
I mean,
just talk about egg theory. It was pretty interesting, but nothing. Like, he has nothing on Redeem Zoomer.
Bro, Redeem Zoomer is different.
This was more just like a Wikipedia. Like, it was just like
a condensed Wikipedia random.
It's like a tier list.
Yeah, but what I would say about again, for those who don't consider an afterlife, I would just ask yourself, like, what are your alternatives? Like, if you've heard of Pascal's wager, which is, okay, you might as well choose a religion because in case you are wrong about there not being God, then some of the consequences are pretty dire. And someone says, well, how do I know which one to choose? Most of these religions don't have a direct consequence for you to pick them, or they're not really something that they require you to believe in. They're more just kind of folktale and culture. But there are a couple that claim to be global religions for mankind with real consequences, like Christianity or Islam, right? Now, without religion, if you take religion out of the equation, you have infinite regress theory. We know that everything in the universe, in the observable universe, it comes from something else. It's a dependent variable, right? There's no independent variable that began all of it. Even the Big Bang, we can't identify what the independent variable was. We just know that there had to be at one point. Otherwise, you go infinitely backwards in time, tracing where things originated from. Okay, the sun came from this, and then that came from that, and so on and so forth. You just keep going based off whatever variable birthed the next variable or caused the next variable to change into its next stage or form. But the issue is, like, how did that matter exist? Why do these systems exist the way that they do? Where does consciousness come from? So that's why I think it is worthwhile to entertain religion. People don't want to; they just like to write it off lazily as if it's just some crazy mumbo jumbo. But it really isn't that simple, especially if you study Islam and the proofs for Islam, the predictions made, the changes on people's life, especially with the Abrahamic faiths. You have several prophets and messengers from a span of time in different locations all preaching the same thing. That kind of gives credence to your message. They couldn't all have just been randomly correct or making the same statement about something, but they ended up doing so. So, yeah, I'll just look into it, and...
Interesting video. If you guys want us to watch more of his stuff, looks like he has some interesting stuff out there. Looks very similar to Redeem Zoomer's thumbnails.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Even the video format. Yeah.
If you guys liked it, like this video and comment so we know to put more videos of this guy out there and react to it. And make sure to subscribe. And assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.